ring in my ears as something that would be relevant to somebody doing store fixtures. Can we elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, why don't you, I could show you. You want to change?
Maybe I could just even ask a quick question if I could. When I think of the term architectural submittals, I think of that meaning that a portion, at least of somebody's business, would be related to some form of commercial casework, architectural millwork, instead of fixtures, where they would receive a set of documents from an architect, and the job would be to submit back company detailed drawings to the architect in order to get approval and to build the casework. Are we doing some of that?
Yeah, yeah. We
Okay.
get design development sets, and sometimes
Super.
we can start from CD sets. Typically, when we start to hit schedules, we're not working from permit sets or 100% CD sets. Most of the time, we're working off of like an 80% CD set.
Yeah.
We take that, and we, on my team, for my client, we all do slightly different variances of this depending on the project or client, but I'll speak to what we do. I'm on the Louis Vuitton account. We'll take the architecturals, and we submit by department or area. So we're almost recreating a set of architecturals, more detailed, like a millwork set of architecturals, so to speak.
Yeah.
An entire room. And for Louis Vuitton, we're building rooms, not just placing fixtures within a general contractor wall.
Okay.
So we're creating the store.
Very nice.
To go from there, those sets get submitted for approval to the designer, the client, and the architect. Once we're approved, those get split out into what we call our shop drawing, which is a workable manufacturing drawing, complete with further details, plan sections, cross sections, hardware lists, wiring diagrams,
Yep.
very detailed. Now once that is done from the detailer, in this case, in our person here, Tim, it would go to our project coordinator, who double confirms bill of material, hardware entry in our tracker system, and everything, and then we'll release that shop drawing to our cut billers or programmers, like Jeff here. And Jeff and the guys will take that drawing and make it a workable set of data and drawings for the machines and the guys on the bench. That's our process. And so therefore, we're building a store, so what we draw changes every time, because every store is different.
Absolutely. Okay, I think I got an overall, obviously we've been in this industry for a long time, and so you're obviously a well-recognized name, and so it's not like we don't understand, at least to a reasonable degree, what you guys do or your peers do and stuff. So from what I understood from Roger's instructions is we've got roughly an hour or so this morning. You can imagine that we could spend the next 2 days and not get to the total depths of what's possible to achieve in software, but based on that description, if you don't care, I'll just kind of fire it up and we'll kind of take off and we'll go hit some of the high points while making sure that we're addressing, the various things such as, how can we get architectural submittals, how can we get down to the detailed level of our shop drawings, how can we make sure that this product is going to do well more than a box, how can we understand where we could utilize 3D and 2D technologies together. We call that 5D kind of stuff. And then how can we automate the processes to deliver information to an ERP system, whether that be Trackware or something else that's in business that you guys choose. And, of course, then provide all of the manufacturing details and code or whatever it is that we need to do to run your automated equipment. Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Super. Raj, anything else before we get started?
No.
Okay, very good. One key thing I'd like to hit on real fast is an opportunity, either now or into the future, to think about, once we've utilized this program, how we could deal with some form of library management. And the way that this works, obviously, is you could have categories for anything that you might want to work with, subcategories of those, and then products within each of those. So, you know, that can be really handy for some specific things. And we, of course, then have from that variables that can allow you to have standardized construction and or material methodologies that you want to use, and you can have multiples of those. So in essence, what this would be allowing you to do is to make decisions about the construction methods and materials on a per order basis, or we also have the same variables down at the product level so that you can deal with them individually, and that can work all the way down not only to a single part, to a single edge of a part. So eventually there could be some real power in doing this. I'll only use this initially as a way for us to get some data into the project so that we can understand what it might be to do a store layout or rooms or whatever it is that we want to do. From the category of rooms, I'll just select and say that I want to begin to insert walls. We can do these from pre-construction, predefined shapes, following from a polyline. Some people call that an architectural trace. In this case, I don't have an architect's drawing, so I'll just do some pre-construction to give us a little bit of data. Really easy, even if you're not that familiar with 3D AutoCAD, to be able to pick a point, you know, be able to type in distances. I went 120 and 144 as an example. You know, you hit enter again, and it ends the command for being able to work with walls. There you can be working with any products within your library or creating new things on the fly. In this case, I'll just select that I want to be able to work with an object. Notice if I select a wall, it gives me a phantom or a ghosting image that would allow me to place it anywhere along the wall. Or if I move it to an additional wall, it knows how to do all the rotations. And I'll stop this for a moment. I thought there was a message.
We hear you, Sean.
You cut out on the phone. Are you guys hearing me? Can you hear me okay?
You cut out again, but now I can hear you.
I don't know what that could be because I'm on my office landline.
Yep.
Is there anything, maybe you said you guys are working on a conference or on a speakerphone?
No, yeah, we're on a landline as well.
Okay, well, let's assume it's working now. If it cuts out or anything again, please do send me a message like that, and we'll figure out something else to do. I don't know if we need to call back into the conference number or what it might be.
Okay.
Okay, so anyway, we'll just do this again. I was just selecting a product that we might want to work with, and so it would allow me to select. I could put it in free space, pick a walls, whatever I want to do. It's very smart that if you have multiple walls, it will even deal with all your rotation factors and such. In this case, I'm just going to tell it that I want it to place at a certain point. From here, I could either change things like height, width, depth, whatever, or I could place a single product, or even leave the command open so I'm placing multiple products. In this, I said I wanted to do two of the same.
Hey,
Notice
John,
here that this has given me a dialog to be able to put it to the left, to the right, above, below, front, or back of the object, so it's really easy to be able to quickly work with to get some things within the room design. Here, I'll go ahead and also place a different category of product. Once we have products in, you could be selecting from walls or be selecting from individual products to determine what you might want to be placing, and I'll throw, in this case, an upper. I know that we're dealing with just some cabinets in here for now. You can imagine a significant portion of businesses also dealing with casework people and those kind of things. So just take it as an example for just a moment. Once we have done, and I want to get to a lot of things, so I'm just doing a little in each of these sections. Once we have created the layout that we might want, of course we could change that, and we could do realistic, we could do renderings, we could do walkthroughs, whatever kind of visuals that you might want. When it comes to the need to be able to generate drawings that we might think of from the architectural standpoint, we also automate that. So here, for example, would be automated plan views in 2D. Here we're going to be able to generate elevations for this kind of stuff as well, detailed and annotated the way that you want. Maybe we're going to want to also create, you mentioned for your more detailed drawings, maybe we want to be able to do sections. I'll tell this that I want to cut these this way, look at them on this side, I'll label that elevation A, and so now we've got an elevation for this. I want to actually...
Sean?
Yes.
Sean, we have nothing has happened on our graphical presentation. We have a blank screen. It hasn't tracked at all. And we've been trying to stop you, and we couldn't get through. Finally, I got through. But the bottom line is the GoToMeeting is failing.
Okay, I'm going to get out of it and come back into it. I'll be back in just a moment. I don't know which end it is. GoToMeeting is usually really good technology, so I'm not sure, but I apologize that you weren't able to interrupt. I don't mean it to be that way. It's just when I heard an hour, I wanted to show them as much as possible. So I'll re-sign in just a quick second.
This is running through your phone?
This is you're connected directly to GoToMeeting. I'm connected through my phone to GoToMeeting. You're connected to GoToMeeting through your computer and your Wi-Fi here, correct? Is your Wi-Fi here? Could there be any
Anything's possible, but I know weird things happen when you run meetings. Even when you're just setting them up through your VPN, like on the phone, it can do some weird things.
We've already lost the recordings. I had problems with it, so
Yeah.
Okay, if you can hear me, please make me the presenter one more time.
See if it works. Otherwise, we'll cancel it down. We'll just use either WebEx or GoTo from ours.
Okay.
Yeah,
By the way, I have a suspicion that this was my problem. I think we're going to be okay now.
Okay.
So we'd already done room layouts, plans, elevations. We've done a bunch of stuff. So anyway, we'll get started and maybe do this over. I think that you can see my screen now. And so I'm clicking on the room icon. Here's where we began with to say we wanted to insert walls. Since you probably heard me blab a lot before, I'll just kind of get us back to where we were so that you can see it visually. Is that okay?
Yep.
Very good. So anyway, I'm just going to select. I'm going to type in for whatever walls kind of stuff that I want. I will take this and select that I want to be able to place objects within the walls that we've created. And so I'll do that a little bit faster than we did before, and throw into this also a tall cabinet, and let's throw an upper in this as well. So real quickly, you're able to do placement of objects from the library, controlling height, width, depth, all those kind of things. Once we have that room layout done, we're literally able to utilize the tools for submittal purposes that automates AutoCAD, so we can get things like plans, elevations, the details and stuff that we might want to get. So I'll label this as well, and we'll tell this that we want to create sectional information as well. So I'll take this and say that I want to slice this from here to here. We'll look at it on this side. I'll label this A, and so we'll do this, and now I have sections, and let's say that I want to update this section, and let's include in it the 3D wall elements of this. And so now we have that within our sections as well. Maybe we even want to create from this plan sections, and I'll tell this that I want to slice this across here looking at it from above. I'll label that B, and so we'll come and place that and label it. Maybe we want to automate things like dimensioning across this as well, even within our sections. Maybe we want to annotate articles and define what would be the product numbers and those kind of things. I'll tell this to add the position numbers in. Maybe I want to even annotate. In this case, I want to throw in and tell this what my adjustable shelves and these kind of things might be. And so that's done as well. And so the next stage of it would be real quickly being able to utilize tools to be able to load borders and those kind of things. So then I could work within any viewports that we might have, any stuff, and to be able to link the views. We'll say, hey, I want to be able to throw an elevation here. I'll tell this that I want to, oops, if I hit the right key. I want to be able to see this, and maybe I want to link this view so we can have the plan view. Maybe in this case, I want to be able to have just the 3D, and we want to change the visual styles or performance within that. So of course that could be done. So in this case, I'll just tell this that I want it to be shaded or realistic or whatever it is that you want to be able to work with. And again, then maybe we want to come into this and have some kind of sectional drawings or whatever. So the point is that you can work in 2D AutoCAD, or excuse me, 3D AutoCAD, get all the visuals, that kind of stuff, and it will automatically automate the processes for being able to get the 2D shop drawings and architectural submittal style stuff done as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything from you guys' end.
Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
They said yes, it makes sense.
Super, awesome. That's just a real quick kind of understanding of being able to lay out walls, place products, whether they came from the library or new creations, whatever it is, and to begin to automate the process of being able to get drawings and stuff out of it. Where I really wanted to go with you guys is the understanding that we might need to be able to create some custom things. So I'd like to start out kind of basic with it and then move into a little bit more custom things as we move along. Sometimes we're going to have situations where we need to be able to create something completely from scratch. I think of this working much like you would in the world of modeling. Here I just have a cube I'm going to work with. I'll define a height, in this case a width, and in this case a depth. And let's call that, take a number like 23.5, something like that. So now what I have is basically a cube that I'm going to work from. If you'll notice on the left-hand side, it's the article designer group, and it's noticed that it has all of these faces. I want to be able to apply things to these faces for a moment. In this case, I've got different types of tops and stuff that I might want to be working with. I'll tell this that I want a bottom, a left, or right. I'll leave the front empty, and I'll apply it back to it. Now I want to be able to work with being able to divide this thing the way that I might want. In this case, I'm going to tell it that I want to define it with fixed shelves and how I might want to be able to deal with that. Notice if I use something as simple as 1:1, that it tells it that it wants it to be centered within the object, no matter how the height or whatever it might change, and so it becomes easy to do that. Or I could define it in a specific way. In this case, I told it to be 6 to 12 inches from the bottom, and so all the growth and stuff would occur above it. Or, of course, in reverse, I can work with it so it'd be fixed from the top. In this case, I'm going to just say, I want to make this 1:1:1, and tell it that I want these to be equal no matter how it grows and works. I can now work visually within this simply by clicking in an area. And in this case, let's just tell this that it's going to have, some kind of a sock drawers or whatever display kind of things that we might want within it. I'll come into the next section of it and tell this that we want to be able to divide this horizontally, and so I'll tell it that I want to put a partition. I'll use that number now and tell it that I want it to be 12IN:1. I could click into this and then, of course, use all of the faces that are created from these, telling this that I want maybe a left-hand swing on the door for this. I'll come into this area, tell it that I want to be able to have adjustable shelves into this, and I'll just tell it that I need one of them. Anyway, that's nothing real special, but just to see from absolutely nothing how you can build something. What you might not know is that if I click yes to this, it could be saved back to my library, pick a category, give it a name, give it a description, and it's automatically available in the library. If I say no to this, it's available for me to create right within this project. And so if we look at this, we'll see that we have available. I'm going to, for a moment, the way that you might want to look at this information, and you'll see that all of the machining data and everything is completely available for you to view and see that it's all been done, including hardware and all that kind of stuff. What you might also not know is that this product, I designed this literally while we were doing this so that it was fully parametric. So, for example, if I said to this, hey, I want this to be 42 inches wide, that's what it's going to do. If I said that, this would probably be an easier visual one for you. If I came into this and said, hey, I want this to be, 72 1/4, that is already done as well. I realize that a lot of times you guys are dealing with unique as-built room conditions and all these kind of things, so being able to have something that you've engineered, be able to change in shape and size dynamically on the fly without a lot of work, I would think of as something that might be really important. Does that make sense? I apologize if you guys are commenting or anything. I'm not hearing any of that.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Let's go a little bit further into this and understanding that while sometimes we deal with parts and pieces and sub-assemblies and those kind of things, often we might need to get into things that are a little bit more complex than simple boxes. So the next side of this that I would think about getting into would be to say, I would just want to work for freehand AutoCAD here for a moment, and I'm going to say that I want to make something let's call this 50 up that I want to work in. Let's come over here at like 18 inches. Let's zip down here at some specific kind of an angle, and let's go into an ortho mode, and I want to get the puller tracking working. I want to turn this. Sorry, just a quick AutoCAD thing here. Come on. Puller tracking. What are you not doing? Ortho puller tracking. Snap. Oh, I'm not sure what that is. I'll make this in a little bit different way since I'm too silly to get my AutoCAD working this morning. By the way, that has nothing to do with WoodCADCAM. That was just trying to draw a closed polyline, which I normally can do, but for whatever reason, wow, I've got something going on with my keyboard. Okay, so now, regardless of this, what we have is we have a closed polyline. One of the things that I want you to see that you have the ability to do is we can also make a contour from, I'll call this Roger Shaw, one, and I can make this now a object from literally just a creation or view. Sometimes we get drawings from people that we work with, but it doesn't give us the full detailed information. It doesn't mean that we can't use it. And so now I have all of these spaces available. So in this, in this particular case, I'm going to tell this that I want to engineer up from this to begin to get details on this. And I'm going to tell this that I do want it to be a door, and I want a right-hand swing for it. And so now, in this case, again, I'm going to say no to this just so that I can get it within the project that we're working on. But I want you to see, again, that even workings like this give us a lot of ability to be able to create things very fast on the fly. And again, even something that was designed from this kind of an element still gives me the abilities to be able to work with it. So, for example, if we were working on this and we said, for whatever reason, we need this to not have this kind of a width, but we want it to be 40 wide, and we want to change the depth of it to 34, and we want to, increase or decrease the height of it, whatever it is that you're doing, it gives you that ability very quickly to be able to work with it. One other thing that I think might be relevant for you guys to see is the kind of level and detail that you can work at with the product created. Here was the one we were working on a minute ago. I could literally say I want to work all the way down to the edge level of this. I selected these two edges, and I want to now change the construction methodology. I'm going to tell this, for example, I could make it a miter joint or whatever. It was what I call an inset joint to where the top was meeting into the side of the side panel. In this case, just so that you can see the intelligence of the product, I'm going to tell it to become an onset joint where the top now is over the end panel. So it got smaller, and this was extended. All the machining changed and all that kind of stuff. Even further along to show you controls that you would have to where I could say, hey, you know what, I want to be able to move this edge, and I want this to have now a 2-inch overhang. And so there's, as you see, a lot of controls to be able to work with it. Other kinds of CAD features and stuff that you could work with this. You know, I'll just say in this case that I want to make a circle, for example. My problem, my key didn't work. Okay, so I pick a spot that I want this. I'll tell this that I want a diameter, and let's just say I want that to be 5 inches. Maybe we've got some kind of a pipe or a chase or something that we need to be able to work on here, and so I'll just move this where you can see it. And I'm going to say, in this particular case, I want to be able to take this shelf, and this shelf, and this shelf. I'm not going to worry about the drawers for now, just as this example. And I'm going to tell these things that I want to be able to transfer AutoCAD elements to these. So here is the AutoCAD element that I created. I'm going to tell this the depth, the direction I want to cut through, those kind of things. And so literally in a click of a button, I've now added all the machining G-code ready for all of those kinds of conditions and stuff as well. Hopefully we're following along and doing some okay stuff. I want to move into kind of like an area of it that I think of as a little bit more free form, working with it to where you can do some additional things. I'm going to say I want to create a new Object Designer article, and I'm literally, again, starting with basically nothing. Here I want to define the sectional information or way that I want to work with this product, so I'm going to tell it that I want to begin by creating a side view segment. I'm selecting a material, in this case 3/4 inch MDF is what I'm working on. And I was thinking about creating an object that might be some form of a cash wrap or something like that that we would work with. I'm going to begin by designing the way that I would want the inside of this to work, and while not overly complex, I think it will show you some of the good features of it. I'm going to say I want to come up at like 34 inches, and I can continue to add side view segments to these kind of things, and I'm going to tell this that I want to go in a couple of inches and up a couple of inches and out a couple of, and in this case I want to go 2.75 inches. And I'm going to go from here up another 10 inches, and we're going to add some additional segments to this. In this case, in thinking about a side view segment of this, I'm kind of thinking with that, where are you at? What do I not have happening? Okay, I no longer have intersection points in AutoCAD. What did I possibly do to my AutoCAD? One more second. Object snap. Oops. Settings. Okay, you say you're fine.
You have to turn it on, I believe. Your object snap.
Yeah, I did. It's on. I don't know at this moment what to say. AutoCAD's a fabulous tool most of the time. In this case, it's behaving rather strange in the fact that it will not let me.
You have to push that on there to turn it on. One more over, I think, to the left. Yep. Turn that on. Press it. Yeah. Now select what you want. Yeah.
I guess I turned that off a while ago, maybe. I don't know. I still don't see it doing anything. Hit escape and hit the command again. Nope. There's something very, very strange. I've had GoToMeeting do some really wild stuff before. Okay, there we go. I thought I had it turned on, but anyway. So now we're back into this. Pretend like you didn't see that, okay? Okay, so I'm going to give this the top play to tell this that it's got a dimension of 8 here. I want to be able to put this on the right side of the line, and I'm back to an ortho. I want to be thinking about the customer side of things for a moment. I'm going to come down here at 20, and I'm going to jump into this a couple of inches, and now I'm going to say maybe I want to come down at like 6 and back out. What I was thinking of there on the customer side is that I might be wanting to have some kind of aluminum extrusion or some kind of display on the back side of this. I want to move into, in this case, what I might be dealing with a toe kick on the customer side, and I need to put this on this side of the line, and I'm going to tell this 4, and we'll come down here, and we'll finish this guy out to where this needs to be at 5.75. One more segment. And so I'm going to make a segment across here. So basically what I did, even though it's not pretty or anything, is I made a side view section or profile of what I might want to be able to do. In this case, I'm going to use the boundary command, and I'll just tell this that I want it to create a polyline object for me just so that you can see this. I will hide an element so that we can see our polyline. There might be things that I want to do with it. For example, I want to be able to pull this in, for example, of 1/4 of an inch, because if I'm going to route this or something, I don't want the radius of the bit to interfere with me being able to get square parts. I could do that throughout this. The next thing that I would want to do is that I want to create some kind of a top view design for how this might work, and also just use I'll use AutoCAD here to be able to say I want to create a polyline. Let's make this like 78 inches this way. Let's go like 80 inches this way. Let's tell this that we want this to finish out with an arc, and I'll select and alive. Polyline. Roger's going to shoot me. Select second point. I have no S key. Got something going on. Arc. A. S. Select. Okay. This was the kind of object that I was going to try to get to. Let me edit this real fast. Say we want to join this with this. Okay, so now we have a polyline that we could be working with. Here, I'm going to tell this that I want to be able to create a top view section of this. And so I'm going to say that what I want to do is I want to work from here, and I'm going to tell this that I want that to be 8. I'm going to give this a little movement where I want to be placed because I had a 3/4 inch inside panel that I wanted to work with. I'll array this and tell this that I want this to have a path. And so I'll define for this the kind of ways that I want to work with it. I'll tell it on 16-inch centers, and I'll take this and explode it. And from here, I might want to do some additional things, like I want to copy this, and I want to be able to position it where I want. Maybe I want to also copy this. Waiting for a save, just a second. Come on, save the file. There we go. So now I can take this, and maybe I got some place that I want to double up the way that this, what I'll call studs, partitions, these kind of things might work with. And from here I could say, hey, I want to make parts from 2 views, and in this case I'll literally say that I want to take all of these top view segments and be able to apply this. So literally in this I'll say, yes, I want to create all of these bits of information across this. And so now all of these have been made. I also want to be able to take this and say, I want you to follow this shape. And so now we've created, and I'll say that I want to be able to insert this. So all the parts and pieces and everything are done, and of course manufacturing, ready for this as well. A big AutoCAD line is, but anyway, regenerate what we have. I might want, if I was working with this, to go a little bit further on the engineering side of things. I might want to take this and do some things. So for example, I'm going to say that I want to isolate some elements. I want to work down to this, and I'll isolate this a little bit further. Maybe I don't like the way that these plates are automatically being broken up in, for construction kind of stuff. So I'll take these and tell this that I want to join this. Now it became one part. I'll use AutoCAD here and be able to define. I'm not picking an exact point. Any kind of a polyline shape, straights, angles, whatever kind of funky lines that you might want for this, you could be working with. And so now that would allow me also to be able to work with this and to be able to create cutting principles to where I could do that with any kind of a known polyline shape. And so now I have struggling today. Okay, I want to select this thing. I want to make a cutting principle. I want to do it with this polyline. I want to select the polyline. I want to be able to say OK to it. Oh, for whatever reason, it had no depth. There it was. I just didn't even see that. I don't know how that we cut that. Okay, you should say yes, go trim, long, boom. And now I have still one frickin' part. Okay. Probably done this a million times, that it's worked absolutely perfect. The only thing I can think of is that when I made this polyline, I did something really whack with that it's not recognizing what it's getting. Okay. This guy, I want to make this kind of a cutting principle with this. Roger, I'm sorry, I don't know what I've done or what's going on with it, but anyway, the point that I was trying to make is that you can control every individual break, whether it was skins, whether it's plates, whatever it was, and this so that it would be manufactured the way you want. I have no idea what it is, but what this would have done is then segmented these two parts out so that they would have been positioned the way that I wanted them. And so you can kind of see from this that I would have probably, if I was engineering it, I would have done it here where I was doubling up studs and all those kind of things. But whether it is a cabinet, whether it's something that you create from your own AutoCAD design of shape or those kind of things, it gives you a huge amount of tools to be able to build certainly things way more than boxes. So I'll pause for a moment since I've kind of blown this a little bit and let you guys give me some feedback, questions, those kind of things.
I'm just saying, so you, right, so you just created a, just say that is going to be, say, a custom cash, custom cash wrap in a Dolce & Gabbana store or whatever.
Yep.
And you just created it from scratch. You're going to continue building on this from scratch. Say now you got to add in, you know, metal trims, glass, doors, whatever, right?
Yep, you might throw some cabinets in it, might have some countertops, might have additional machining, might have whatever.
Right, so you just, now what, and I missed maybe the first minute of when I walked in, but you started all that off of a shape that you made down there in orange.
Yep, started from literally nothing. So I could have either started from some designated shape that you guys had, you know, just so I could trace around it, you know, to have the section of what panels would be applied, or from scratch. So
you don't really, now how am I going to say this now? How am I going to put this thought out there? So this whole idea of like this catalog isn't as restrictive as maybe initially you get the idea of. I mean, like
combination of
combination
of freeform and catalog.
Because if you're my detailer, right, and I'm just like, here's this cash wrap. We've never done this before. So you're like, oh great, I got to make all these catalog parts. He just did it.
Yeah.
But you would now catalog this.
You could say it.
Now, are you cataloging the entire assembly, or is it going to catalog all the sub-assemblies, meaning like once you're done, right, individual parts, is it going to catalog the parts?
So I can do two things for this. Number one, I could catalog the profile that I want to use. I could catalog the entire object, and if you saw what I did, I actually blew this down, re-grabbed the polyline for it, and even changed it parametrically.
So could you catalog this cash wrap and then say we get a project the next year, and you're like, holy crap, like it's got very similar but yet different to that cash app we just did last year. Can you go and I hand this off, and I'm like, it's almost just like the one we did. This is the famous project manager line. It's just like the one we did, right? But it's really not. Like the
shape or size.
Right. The level of detail that these our draftsmen are at is a totally different world than mine. So I say that, and they're like, yeah, okay, you say that. But he can utilize parts and pieces. So can he go get this assembly and say, I'm just going to start, you know, grocery shopping from this thing, essentially. Like, I want that, I want that, I want that. And then now he's back to free form by utilizing pre-done parts. Is that doable?
Absolutely. That's the concept of this, is that there would be multiple things that you could have. Number one, if you create section profiles of what it is that you might want to do, you can catalog those, and then you could draw any kind of polyline shape you want, and it would follow along that just like I did in this example. Or you could catalog this entire object, and then if you saw what I was doing, I literally would have the ability still to be able to work with this and to be able to say, hey, you know what, this one's a little bit different. It's actually this long. And as a matter of just being able to click a button now, that entire object is growing and changing to meet the new polyline features.
You know, I'm just trying to think. It is. I'm still starting to process different thoughts as you continue on here. And, you know, clients like to do weird things. Like, yes, that's the same one, or that's the same room, but it's getting bigger, but we don't want it to change proportionately. We only want this part of that wall to grow, but we want a certain component to stay the same. Like, you know, they only want, so if you made the change, like say, okay, the wall got bigger, boom, it's going to automatically update. But then how do you go back to say, well, they want the drawers to run through, but they don't want that upper niche to change. So does it automatically make the change, and then now you got to go back and say, okay, yes, thank you for making the change throughout for me, but I want to modify that change a little bit more where I don't really want everything to move proportionately. Does that work?
I mean, you're in control. I mean, it's an engineering tool. It gives you what I would call ways to automate lots and lots of things, but at the same time, it gives you you know, tools within it to be able to do the actual and real engineering kind of things that you're gonna, you know, have to be able to deal with.
So let's say 4 feet gets added on. There's like a drawer bank, 4 drawers in a base, and then like next to it, what you added on, they want that as like doors with shelves in it for storage.
Yeah, let me show you this way. I think that this is going to make more sense, because this was just obviously some of the objects. Here's what, excuse me, here's what I want to get to. I want to come over here now, and I want to be able to say, I want to create this, and what I'm going to say is I want to make a bank of something, and so I'm just going to say I've got 120 inches, and I'll tell this that I want it to be 34.5, and I want this to be at 120 inches, and I want this to be at 23.5. You have to give me a minute, because I'm going to work in something that's probably going to seem a little bit wild for a moment. Now I want to create, and I want to deal with dividing this thing up in such a way that 1:1:1:1, and boom. And so now I've created virtual elements into this. I'm going to say that I want to get to this. Give me just a second, because I'm going to play with something here that I think will be really cool as we move across. So, boom, boom. Okay, so now we have this. And so now what I'm going to do is, once I've divided this thing up, I'm going to work within this, and I'm going to call this an article zone, and I'm going to tell this that I want to put this object in here, and I'm going to say I want to put, let me get it built for a moment, and then I think it will make some sense. And I'm going to put a 3 drawer in this, and I'm going to take this, and actually I'm going to leave this one blank, so it's going to be empty. Maybe some other thing goes in it, and I'll come to here, and say that I want this one to be a one door, and I want this one, and I'm going to go search out to my catalog for what it is that I want to be able to put in it, article zone, and I'm going to select across here. So anything from your catalog, and I'm going to put a two-door, one drawer unit in this backside. So now, if you see this, I'm going to say I don't need to save it to my library, but now I've got something that I could be working with that's like a bank of products. So now you'll see that that was done, right? So I've got these things that could be working with it. If I wanted, at this stage, I could literally say that I want to modify this, and I can modify it at the top level. So here, I could now say that I want the width of this to become 96 inches. And so now you'll see that that was done. I won't save it in this purpose, but now that changed literally within a click, that all my spacing and stuff for this has changed. Or I could even work within this to modify and say that I want to work down at just the level of this particular one and do something with it. So yes, I can give you controls to be able to, to make and modify and do whatever you want at a lot of different levels. And by the way, if I were working with this, I could even now, sorry, clicking buttons when you don't know what you're doing. I want to work at this level, and I'm going to even say, in this case, now in this particular design, I actually do want to be able to add something to it. So it is now in there. And at the same time, I could even go into my original divisions and say, you know what? I don't want it to work this way. I want the last one to be at 24 IN, a fixed number, even though I want the rest of that to float. And that's what it would become. And so now you'll see that that's been created as well. That has to have a lot of application for you guys.
Well, we got a lot of people. You mean setting up catalog data to teach everyone?
Oh yeah, that's included in the digital.
Oh, I have that too. I mean, maybe that's later. We're gonna go. I have that same thing running through my head. We can go over that later after Sean, I think.
Yeah, I can talk about integration.
How limited this time, but did you guys? And this is part of your presentation. Excuse me. Did you guys do a unit of ours?
Yeah, I had what I call an intern do it, and apparently there's a Goebel woodworking company in Wisconsin that he was thinking that's where I was, and so it's kind of funny too. Last night late, 6 hours away, he thought it was time for this. There was a little miscommunication, so I mean I can call him, get him on the line, and have him show you that. I have a PDF of it.
Okay.
And all that. I can show you later.
Okay.
It's not a. Can we do it? Yeah, we can do it. I'm not worried about it. I am worried about how we properly integrate.
Sure. I mean, I'm seeing some things. I mean, I'm seeing both things. You're seeing advantages. I think you're seeing some points of like, well, how in the hell are we going to do that? What about? Can you show us an example, maybe of? I was thinking like a custom commodity integration. Maybe the same thing. Maybe the same thing. You just make it and integrate it. Right?
What are you showing, Sean?
Like,
we need to get into showing them the cut right interface and all that. They're just messed it out.
Okay, so you just optimized it.
That's
Right.
okay. The drawing, we got the 2D drawing from the 3D, and there's your optimal. There's your depth.
We used to use that. Did Greg tell you that?
Yeah. Well, we'll dig that up if we go forward. We're going to dig that up, but it's cut right now does nesting. Who are you using for your nesting now?
Now?
I think we use
Okay.
Ned Brown. Yeah.
But it was cut right, but then that got
Optimized for that.
that.
Optimized for that's what we use.
ready. Okay. Did you use it here before? No. They use it much. I don't know when it stopped or whatever, but.
Well, these guys have worked very closely together to get what we need in our market.
But did you just optimize that while we had
You can do it in WoodCADCAM. What we're doing a little differently, now we're shifting all the data over into CutRight.
Do we need some of it to go to a saw and some of it to nesting?
Figure out how it's going to go.
To the CNC or to the
Small and point to point. Or just saw.
Did you say no nesting, we want to go to a saw?
Oh, whatever.
I mean, that's all I'm doing is I'm allowing you to sort the parts by destination, and so whatever I want to send to the saw, I can. Whatever I want to send to point, I can. Whatever I want to send to nesting, I can. You know, we're under control here, so I just saying, do we want to see some of both? Do we want to see just optimization? Do we want to see just nesting? We want to see combinations of?
A combination of nesting and panel saw.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to globally tell this that I want that to become optimization. And now that I've done that, I'm going to take these and I'm going to push this amount of them. Idiot. So I want to take this. I promise I'm not trying to make this look difficult. I got some kind of a keyboard mouse thing going on today, and it is like driving me absolutely crazy. Okay.
If these guys do business, it's probably going to be like a $400,000 deal, so don't worry about it, Sean.
I tell you what, one thing I ensured is he won't call me to do a demo again. So anyway, I just designated of some of these that I wanted to go to nesting, some of them optimization. You know, I'm going to click the button to this and say, yep, I want to save it this way. I'm going to say that I want to do this so you'll see that we're going both directions. And so now here would be my, this is my nesting results. And so we could look at all the reports and dashboards and details of those kind of things, or you could see the patterns that were created so they're laid out for a nest. Are we able to see that okay?
Yeah.
Good. And then, of course, I could work with an individual one or even down to the level of editing and moving parts, all that kind of stuff. So that's available for you as well. I could also come to this and say I want to look at it from the saw side of things. So here is the patterns and previews of what's getting cut up at the saw. So we automatically made your cut list, bills of material, including sheet stock, solid stock, hardware, buyouts, edge band, all that kind of stuff. We automatically generated individual part G-code files for point-to-points. We automatically optimized the panel saws. We automatically generated nested files and G-code as well.
When you're doing freehand, you start from scratch. How does it work? Like I have a unit, you have a cabinet or whatever you want to call it, that utilizes, say, 4 different types of finishes. So say there's like 3 different types of veneer. So say you're using 2 different oaks, which are different to get different finishes, ash and a lacquer on the same fixture. So when you're building that thing, how difficult is it for you to designate that?
So I just clicked on one part of this whole thing, and so now I have the material that I'm using for this. And so I can select on this and change any material. I can go out to my material libraries. And so, I mean, literally down to every single possible edge, you've got control to go pick and define what materials that you want to use.
So how does, right, if all of that is, well, not always, if it's brand new, at the time of drawing is like when they're drafting it. Say it's a new finish. Say it's a new peak finish, and we're still going through submittals of finish, submittals, how we're going to do it, what's the material going to be, and he's drawing it.
Yep, so if I want to add a new material, I give it some other name designation, so, whatever you want to call it, and I hit the save button, and now I have a new material.
How do we link that? How do we link that to how do we link that to our catalog? We don't.
Yeah, sure we do. We create a variable. We create the materials, and then we've got a variable that's looking to what's being designated for that. So if we get all the way back, to the variables, and we say, in this case now, here's our material settings for this, here's our case settings, the case parts, you'll see that now this is looking to a variable that is our standard, and then at the order level, we're able to go select from this whatever it is that we just created or anything that we want. It's really, really flexible to allow you to create new materials and assign those on the fly throughout the library, or at the individual article or product level, or at the part level, or at the edge level.
So if you're putting a different color paint on an old panel on the edge, and you're painting it in a certain way, dark brown or whatever, basically we say paint to match such and such all the time on our edges. You're not going to call that out as an edge banding, but you're going to call it out as a finish detail, a type of paint, a color that an edge gets. Is that something that you can assign in here like you would an edge banding?
I honestly don't know the answer to that one. I'm assuming that it would be a zero thickness profile.
Yes.
That would be the way I would think about approaching it, but in all honesty, since working with WoodCADCAM, that has never come up as a question, so I'm sure that they know how to accommodate it, but I don't know how to show you the way I would do it. But my best guess is that I would turn that into a zero thickness profile edging, and it would have a special designation to it so that we would at least know there was paint required for it.
So you're just setting up, when you're drawing freehand, you're just drawing freehand. So you're really just setting up a finished call-out.
A finished call-out that's referencing the actual thickness and size of what's being drawn.
So can he freehand, and he's got Wood 101, W101. So he just made that because he just got done with a unit, yesterday. And now he's on a new freehand unit. And now he can go in and pick his panels and say, yep, these ones are from the drop-down. He can now go to his catalog finish and say, yep, these are also 101.
Absolutely.
Okay. So seems to me there's a lot of, maybe it's not that bad. Like, you guys are going to be doing more, right, like more cataloging. It's not just drawing and doing an annotation of this is 101. This is W101. It's more of you guys are building. I mean, how do you think that works for you guys? I mean, because you guys are going to be doing more entering, more data entering, rather than just notation. I mean, how have you seen that with people, with draftsmen adapting to that next level of operation in the software system? I mean, because it's a little bit, it's a tweak to the job function, basically. You're not just drawing anymore. You're creating catalogs. You're keeping folders straight. It's a different mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, how have you seen that, with people? I'm going to say this, this kind of personality type. You guys are all the same.
What are you trying to say?
Personality type.
Well, honestly, there's a fear factor because now he's running machine tools and he's supervising to make sure the data's coming in right, whereas before he's doing a generic and then he gets it. He's responsible to do it. Some guys jump on it and are aggressive and are really happy that they can make this happen for the company. Other guys are sitting around saying, man, I don't want to do that. So there's no, I mean, we're Americans. You know, in Germany, they're doing it. Fit or get. And it's hard to, there is no standardized thing. But it's a profit-sharing environment, and everybody's interested in making this thing run better. Usually they jump in faster.
Now, is that, so you're going to start creating these huge, call it even just, as we're on the topic of this one scroll menu and this million.
You're going to have
scroll menus.
You're going to have the Goebel library.
And so can it be separated the way you want it to be separated?
Yeah. It's a relational ship database. No, it's an SQL database.
Okay, scroll down.
So it's SQL.
Well, Sean, can you go back and show them how the catalog pulls down now?
How the catalog pulls down now.
You know, with the case goods catalog that comes with it, can you show them? See that? See how it has categories and you pull it down? That's kind of what you're going to have. That's going to be your stuff. You can break it out the way you want.
So you could have it by job also.
You have it by Macy's. You know,
Now I can see about, you're right, organization of, I mean, that's huge in itself in terms of you need an airtight SOP. Who's doing that? Like that could turn into
oh yeah, there's data builders and there's data users.
You almost need that one
Each
person.
project manager would be in charge of the data builder.
Well,
Hang on. You guys want a couple people?
yeah.
Yep. I mean, you see what I'm getting at is that could become anarchy in there.
In this, I think some of the things that we're going to learn that we're going to have to do with this thing to make this thing work correctly. I mean, one of the things I spent talking to Roger the other day, I talked to Steve Wood the other day, and how you go about starting this thing from scratch. You think an operating procedure of who does what, how you do it. You know, I think it's going to be developed in detail to how it's the best way to do that.
Because he showed us freehand before you got here. I mean, it's great. I mean, you can freehand, you can do what you want, and you still get the benefits of it automatically optimizing and building and those things. It's great, right? But there's also the nuances of getting there in terms of like this, of what he's now going to be responsible, Tim, of doing. It's a different level than where we're at. And like I get it, and I'm not going to say like this can be done by Christmas. I mean, like he said, the first 5 minutes of it's like this is if you're up and running 100% in 12 months, that's a success. And so I get the timeline. I get it, but you know,
It's a
huge training issue.
You know, the way it affects it, not important is the training part of it, because you know, when you train everybody, we have some champions that we train people, we start trying everything in it, I think we take the steps to do it, and then come back in 3 months and have more training, say, okay, you know, what's working, what's not, progression over years.
Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about a year.
That's what I'm seeing. I mean, it's a new realm in the job of a global fixture.
Right now, where we have drafting guys, and we have team product programs. You're going to kind of melt them together with what you're doing.
Be a hybrid. Well, it's hybrid, right? It's right. I guess.
You're going to create your team. You're just creating your team.
But you know what? In Europe, they don't have to do these architectural submittals.
Okay.
You do.
We do, correct.
That's the difference.
They did. Chinaki does. They're Chinaki's an Italian worker, and they more or less got turned on to the way they do submittals. We used to do submittals by fixture.
And do by the roof, for the elevation site. Sean, do we have some more stuff we want Sean to?
No, but I'd be interested to see like that unit.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that we're not looking at anything Louis Vuitton. Everything we've seen so far has been notably different than what we're really going to be doing. That's
Right.
disappointing.
Well, you have it done, you said.
I have a PDF of it. I would love to have that guy online. I'm just going to bring it up. Okay, so is there anything else Sean, do you have anything else you want to show us?
No, not necessarily. I think sometimes when you're doing an initial preview of software and stuff, it takes a little bit to kind of absorb what it is that you see and how you can apply that specifically to what you do and how that might affect the way that projects and jobs are broken up and managed within an organization. So, just let me know if I can help another time.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Okay, sir.
Very good. You guys have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Sean.
Take care. Bye.
No. He's on the front end of explaining the technology in a clear view. We have trainers and integrators that are actually more deep into the product than what Sean is. And what we would be looking at is your drawings. And we would have to, you're going to have to show us what exactly it is you want to be this product to do. And we're going to analyze that and come back and